Welcome to the Love Your Inner Athlete podcast, your go-to source for all things mental fitness and sports. Whether you're an athlete, coach, parent, or professional, you will learn as you join us to dive into inspiring conversations with those who have worked to develop their mental fitness. You will hear from people who've put in the work as either an athlete, coach, parent, or professional. In each episode, we bring you discussions and expert insights on developing resilience, focus, and mindset. Discover the concepts of mental fitness and learn how to use it to create consistent, durable confidence in both sports and life. I'm your host, Hans Schulstead. Let's get started. Welcome to the Inner Athlete podcast, where we talk all things mental fitness. Today, we're happy to be joined by Jake Parenteau, former University of Minnesota defenseman. I believe he played in a Frozen Four, at least one, right? Okay.
Yep.
And we got to know each other a couple of years ago. We're talking mental fitness, and I decided I wanted to get him on our podcast because of his vast experience playing at a high level, but also coaching and mentoring young athletes. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell the listeners a little bit about like your career path, like when you first started playing and where you played and where you developed your love of the game.
Yeah, I guess I first started playing, I had to have been around 3 or 4. We lived in Roseville, so that's where I was born. I started on the outdoor ice there. We had a pond in the back in the backyard, and my dad shoveled off a rink for us, and that's where we learned how to skate. And I mean, in the summers we played in the cul-de-sac there, and it was a big part of my dad's life and my family's life for that matter. My dad played at the U. At a couple other uncles that played there as well, so hockey was always in the family. And it's just when you're around it your whole life, you can't really just get rid of it. And it was something that was in there from the get-go for sure. And from there we moved to where my parents still live in Franconia, so part of Trisago Lakes district. So I played my whole youth growing up there. My dad was my coach all the way up through Bantams, and then played 4 years of high school, and really didn't understand or know what juniors was until someone moved in. Paul Gibson, his name was. He basically introduced us to what junior hockey was. And from there, I played 1 year in the MNJHL, the Minnesota Junior Hockey League, for the St. Paul Lakers. And then I was trying out for North Iowa and the NA. And Dave Boytz was the head coach of North Iowa and took the head coaching job for the Alaska Avalanche during that tryout, and tendered me on the spot during the tryout. And I played 2 years up there, and I didn't get talked to by a D3 or D1 school until my last year of juniors, right after the first showcase at the Super Rink. I think it's funny now, but Union was the first school to ever talk to me, and that's who we played my senior year in the Frozen Four championship game that we lost to. So it's just funny how it all full circle moment. And then, the U liked how I played. They didn't contact me until about Christmas. They wanted to make sure that my development was staying true to how well I performed during the showcase. And they picked me up after that and played 4 years for them. Lucia was our coach. Grant Patoli was our other coach. Johnny Hill was our D coach for 1 year. And then I had Mike Gensel as the D coach for my last 3 years. And then I played 1 year of pro. I was with Iowa Wild until about November. And I got sent down to Orlando in the ECHL, the Solar Bears. And I blew up my shoulder in December, and my career, unfortunately, had to come to an end after that.
Okay. So was it at the U that you met your wife?
I did. Yeah. Leah ran track at the U, and we met in geology class.
Oh, really? So
rocks for jocks.
Yeah, rocks for jocks. I was going to say, there's a little rock and roll, that started the whole relationship. Geology class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we went on, I think, one date, and then she studied abroad for 6 months in Florence, and we rekindled our relationship when she got back. And Now we got 2 kids. And we've been married for 6 years and together for since 2012, I believe.
Wow, that's a long time.
Long time.
So tell me, was there ever a time because of where you played that you felt like you didn't get the benefit of the doubt on your skills, or like you just didn't get noticed because you didn't play at a traditional power? And if
Yeah, I
so, how
didn't.
did you handle that?
Yeah, I didn't know any better when I was there. I guess I didn't realize what hockey in Minnesota really was until I came back from my third year of juniors and I got to the U, where you have my my freshman class. You had Bukestead, you had Tom Serratore, you had Nate Condon, Ulte, Nate Schmidt, Justin Hall, you had Max Gardner was in there, you had Eric Hollis. So there was just a bunch of powerhouses in there. And it was definitely eye-opening to me coming from such a small town and then playing juniors up in Alaska and then going basically into a city of the U, and then there's another city within a city. So yeah, it was definitely eye-opening in that sense, and it was a little overwhelming. I would say a lot of overwhelming for me because I didn't realize. For me, hockey was just so fun, and I just wanted to play, and I kept playing, and I was such a late bloomer within the game, and I think any other way, I don't think I would have ended up where I was.
So what was a bigger adjustment, high school to juniors or juniors to college?
I think juniors to college was a bigger jump. Just not from the hockey standpoint, it wasn't that big of a jump. It's just the depth chart it goes down all the way. I got to mention one more name, Jared Larson. He was in the freshman class as well. But I think the jump from there, from all of the other outside noise, was the hardest to manage from my standpoint for sure. I was always the kid that was. I grew up trying to fit in and blend to the mold, and there was just a lot going on there, and kind of lost sight of who I was at certain times, and it's not how you're supposed to live.
What did you play a lot your freshman year?
No, no, I don't remember how many games I played my freshman year, but it was not as much as I hoped.
How did you battle through that?
I sulked. I blamed others instead of taking ownership and working on the different areas in my game that would help me get in the lineup and stay in the lineup. Yeah, there were certain things that I would do, but certain things that I just didn't do that in hindsight, that it's kind of why I got back in the game, just to make sure that you fall in love with the process and you do what you can do. So when you do get to those opportunities, you don't have any regrets on either side of it.
So did you play more games your sophomore year?
Yeah, I did. Yep. Yeah. All three, the rest of the 3 years, I was in the lineup and played regular shifts. Yes.
Yeah, I remember hearing your name a lot back in the day.
Hmm.
And I remember watching you play. Well, and I was well, you must have been in the Tampa Frozen Four. Was that the Union year?
Union was in Philly.
Oh yeah. And Tampa was like with Matson and those guys, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. We lost to Boston College. Goudreau was on the team. Kreider was on the team. Yeah, they were really
Yeah, they
good.
were loaded. And Johnny
Loaded.
was that the year Johnny won the Hobie? No. Yeah, what? Wait.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
I I think so, but don't quote me.
Oh no, the year he won the Hobie was Philadelphia, I think. No, that's not right.
Well,
Won
I
it in
believe you.
14. Now that I
Okay.
think, yeah. So I guess he must have been a freshman that year.
Yeah, he was the
Yeah.
Tampa. He was a freshman, and then yeah, you're right, because I think they lost after their first game, if I'm not mistaken. The Union. The Union beat them because we played North Dakota.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, tell me about that game. You're bringing up that game. That game, you're talking about the Philly game in North Dakota?
Mhm.
Tell me about that game. What was that like?
I mean, that was the year that we switched from the WCHA to Big Ten. So we didn't have North Dakota on our regular schedule in the last 3 years. Obviously, with that rivalry, it was something that we missed during the regular season. Is whether we were there or they were here, it was really fun to beat them in that moment during that game. Obviously, one of my best friends, Justin Hall, scored with .06 seconds left, and
I remember that.
it was really cool.
Yeah, well, and I remember there was you scored, and then there was the review to make sure you scored before the
The buzzer.
buzzer. So there were two celebrations. I remember that.
hmm
Yeah, were you on the ice for that goal?
I don't think so. I think I just got off. I don't know. Maybe.
You guys were killing a penalty, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember. I just remember the aftermath. I would have to look. That's a little
Yeah,
bit back in the time block.
you were killing a penalty because I remember being like, "Oh, they're gonna get like
Yeah.
this is not full thinking."
Yep.
So
I think you're right.
yeah,
Because
yeah. So tell me about
the face off was on. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. See what you're gonna say. The face off was where?
I was in our zone, I remember, and then it was a rush up there, and I think Ambrose either missed shot or something, and then Halsey picked it up on the back end and buried.
Yeah, yeah. One a great goal for goal in the history of goal for goals.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool to be a part of, that's for sure.
yeah. So switching gears a little bit, tell me about the best coaches you ever had who had the most positive impact on you throughout your career and what
Yeah,
they
I mean,
did that made them good at it.
yeah, I think, well, my youth, like I said earlier, my dad was my coach all the way up through Bantams, and just from, he was a defenseman, I'm a defenseman, and I learned a lot of how I learned the best on ice or in general is just watching and seeing someone demonstrate the drill. And he was really good at that at the time. So to actually physically see a coach do a drill, explain it, and then execute it was the best way for me to learn. And then somebody that's really in your corner and gets to know you for who you are. And I think that goes a long way. I think the game is shifting more from the old school coach to getting to know their players on a deeper level to find different ways to push, because everyone learns different, everyone internalizes stuff differently. So the coaches that got to know me in a more vulnerable way to help push me through my own barriers was the best. And I had those coaches. I mean, they were littered out through my career. Mike Gensel was my D coach at the U, and he was a really good coach. He was a hard-nosed guy and expected the 110% effort no matter what. And it, he did take the time to really teach us different things about being a defenseman, and not only from the defensive side but the offensive side. He always took the time out after practices or before practice to stay out with the D, and it was a really cool experience to have him as a coach in college. And then yeah, Brian Hebel was my coach in juniors, and it was really cool to have someone lean into you as a leader on the team to help the betterment of the team, not just you personally.
Okay. Tell me about on the flip side, the most difficult coaches to play for and why. You don't have to mention names if you want to.
Yeah, I think at least from my perspective, I'm just a overall sensitive guy. So when I get yelled at or whatever circumstance where I can take it up two ways, I'd be like, all right, screw this situation. I'm going to work my butt off and do the X, Y, and Z. I would sometimes take it, and it would make me feel small and not worthy. And it would spark up those limited beliefs within inside me. So I didn't feel like I was capable or enough to do what I needed to do for the betterment of the team and for myself. So the coaches that I guess had one coaching style that I wasn't the top priority, or it didn't feel as important. It was harder for me to find that full buy-in.
So it sounds like relationships were really important and you think they're really important in coaching.
Yeah, yeah, I know they are.
Yeah. Tell me how you know that. Like all from a player and a coaching perspective, because I know you coach now too.
Yeah, I think from a player's perspective, at least from my experience, to have someone that genuinely sees you as another human being, not just a hockey player, and wants the best out of you for the betterment of the team. And there's no better feeling that having that trust, that bond helps you push yourself past your own stuff that you're trying to get through, so you can be a part of something that's way bigger than you. Being part of a team is something that's bigger than you. To have that, and then as a coach now, what I love about coaching is building those relationships and seeking out that vulnerability of the insecurities and limiting belief of our athletes, and helping them with the tools that work for them in their own circumstance to get past whatever they need to get past, so they can show up the best version of themselves.
Okay. So when you played for the Gophers, how did you approach the mental game? What were some like?
Yeah, I think when I was at the U, we had a lot of good coaches and players showing the importance of work ethic, and showing up every single day, whether it was at the rink or in school or in the weight room. Like, we either had the coaches or the players leading by example. And again, like, for me, the best way that I learned is seeing others do it, to see others push past certain things that I didn't realize was possible. It's like, oh, he did it. That's something that I can do now, type of thing.
Okay.
Just like, I know I could be one of the questions up later, but like, you pre-game rituals. I don't really call them rituals, but it was my dad always talked about visualization, and visualizing the game, and making the good plays, the smart plays, and making sure that when you do get into those situations, you've already played it out in your head, so you're ready for that situation. So I think that the visualization piece, I didn't truly understand it when I was playing there, but now that now doing what I do now, I realize how important that was, and I'm glad that was passed down from my pops.
Well, moving on to kind of some of those questions, like, did you played in two national championship games, two Frozen Fours? Did your pregame routine change for those games, and how did you handle the emotion of those moments?
Nothing changed. No need to reinvent the wheel. Is what you were doing is what got you there. Obviously, it's a different circumstance. You're playing in a different barn. There's higher stakes, but once you're in the rink with the boys, and you're playing sewer ball, you're playing tips, you're listening to your playlist. Like, I always listen to the same playlist. I always listened to, it was at the time, the song was called Stale by AWOL Nation. That was the last song I listened to before I took my headphones off. And that just got my mindset right and my body right for the battle, if you want to say.
Okay.
And then once you're on the ice as a player, like, you don't, after the first shift, all the butterflies are gone, and you're just playing hockey at that point.
Okay. Yeah, that's what a lot of players who played in big games have told me. They say a lot of the same things. What's a piece of advice that you have gotten about hockey or life that has really impacted you? Like, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
I think the best advice I've ever gotten was to don't put as much pressure on yourself as you need. Like, there's nothing to prove, but there's ownership in what you're doing. I think from a standpoint of okay, if you want to play hockey, we're going to show you the ways on how to do it in the best way possible. But hockey doesn't, that is not your identity. That doesn't make who you are you. It's the process that you take during that time of hard work, dedication, resilience, and consistency. I think the consistency piece is everything. It's doing the little daily tasks that you do every single day to get yourself better, in the 1% there, the 1% there, the 1% there, that adds up to make you the player that you want to be. So even if you don't get that goal, or you lost, or whatever it is, you know that you gave everything you gave, whether it was sleeping, nutrition, in the gym, on ice, it doesn't matter. Like, you gave everything you got.
So, what advice would you give to a young player that struggles with separating who they are from what they're doing on the ice?
I think it comes down to exploring who they are, and what belief system is in what is in their head and why is their identity wrapped up into hockey. So first, gaining the awareness of the thoughts that are making them think that their worth is wrapped up into hockey, and then changing their mindset and belief system on, okay, hockey is a sport. It's super fun. You dedicate a lot of hours, a lot of days, a lot of months to the game, but that doesn't dictate the love that you get from your family, your friends, and whoever. So having something outside of hockey is super important. Like you gotta know that hockey is, X amount of chapters in your life chapter book. So it's super important to carry everything you carry from hockey into the next chapter once that closes. But I
Okay.
think the biggest piece is the awareness piece of, okay, what are the thoughts that are making you think that your identity is wrapped up into this? Let's help change that belief set. And there's a lot of different ways that work for different athletes to get them out of that. It all depends on the athlete and what they're thinking.
Okay. So I think you already maybe answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What habits do you think are most important for high level athletes to promote mental fitness?
It's making all those little promises you make yourself. It's following through on that, and like the inner child, the inner love. It's full belief into that. It's full belief in yourself, and that just that just doesn't happen overnight. That's just compounded daily habits that you can control every single day to help build that confidence, that inner belief. And that there's a bunch of different buckets you can do that in. Like I said, sleep, nutrition, and like a morning routine is a great way to jumpstart your day for that belief. Like for me, like my head spins if I don't do certain things. So if I'm thinking about stuff in the past or future, then I'm not in the present moment. So if I need to do whatever, if it's breath work or if it's just meditation, journaling, different things to get my head from stop spinning so I can enjoy the present moment, whether that's with my wife and kids or if I'm with my athletes or the staff that I work with.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how you got into coaching.
Coaching, so after I was done with hockey, I wanted nothing to do with it. And it was probably 3 to 4 years post my hockey career where I realized I was depressed without even knowing what depression was. So once I realized that, I started going to therapy and learning how to talk and go through my emotions. And I was hooked with that. From a from a young age, I internalized every emotion I have. You bury it down in your stomach and never talk about it again. I think a lot of guys in general can relate to that. And I learned from not only my wife, but the therapist, like, no, we get to talk about these. It's okay to talk about these. Then from there, I was hooked on not, I wouldn't say course correcting, but just peeling back my own onion and layers of my own life and figuring out what makes me tick outside of the game and what my identity was outside of the game and what I really want to do with my life. And during that time, Dave Brown, he's the owner at the base. He got me into coaching Rogers hockey. So I was the assistant coach there for a year and some change until my first son was born. He came 6 weeks early. This is right in the middle of COVID. And I needed to stop coaching that time to be with my family. And from there, it was probably about a year and a half later where I started actually working at the base with Brownie and the rest of the crew there. And since then, I've switched jobs and now I work at Best Shift Training. Owners there, John Schiavo, Kelly Schiavo, and then Mike Lundeen as well.
Okay. Well, and so tell me what you're doing at shift training these days.
Yeah, so director of ops there, so helping run the facility and making sure that everything is running smoothly from not only our staff to all of our customers and athletes, just to making sure that it's a smooth process. And then also I'm a performance mindset coach them as well. So really, again, a lot of stuff we talked about, just helping athletes uncover their limiting beliefs and making sure that they get the tools that work for them at the time, and giving them those tools so they can keep leveling up in not only their life journey, but their hockey journey as well.
Okay. Well, you referenced earlier, that you went to therapy, and it sounds like it was a really good experience for you. Do you wish you'd
Yeah.
done it sooner?
I mean, you can say yes. I'm glad I went into it when I did. I think everything happens for a reason, and you can't have regrets about it. But yeah, I think seeing a sports psychologist when I was actually in the game, or a therapist while I was in the game, to help me uncover that it's not anybody else's fault, but this ownership needs to come down on me, and what are my controllables that I can control in the moment. So I think from a hockey career standpoint, I wish I would have sought help. I thought I was weak at the time if I would have asked for help. And yeah, I think it's super important and very beneficial to ask for help, and it's okay to ask for help for that matter.
Okay. So tell me, when you work with athletes, how do you push them without destroying their confidence?
You gotta figure out through trial and error, based on how hard you can push player one versus player two. So if player one needs to like have a little closer one-on-one attention, be like, hey man, like this is what I saw here, this is what I want you to do here. Like, let's try it next time. Some athletes respond to being, let's go, we need to do this. I think it's all dependent on the athlete, and it's all dependent on your own energy. So if you're bringing the energy as a coach, and showing that you're there, you're present, you're aware, like people respond to that, they can sense that energy, and it's just going to get everyone on board as well. So it's a two-parter for sure.
Okay. And what do you think? What do you see that's different today than when you were playing for kids?
In what way?
Like, do you think they face any unique challenges that you guys, like when you were growing up playing, or do you think it's like, do you see any differences in the challenges they face?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think just with NIL and how it's just moving down in the ranks, where a lot of these kids are getting advisors and agents at such a young age. It puts a lot of pressure on them, and they have a lot of different voices in their head telling them what they need to do. The FOMO is a real thing. If your buddy Johnny's playing in a AAA league, or you got invited to a camp, then you feel like you missed out, and if you're not going to go to that camp, you're not going to get seen by a scout. So yeah, I think the pressure is very, very immense. The amount of training and dedication that these athletes are doing at a much younger age than when I was playing at that age, it's bonkers.
Did you play multiple sports growing up?
I did, yeah.
What other sports did you play?
I played golf until my sophomore year. I played football until my freshman year, and that was about it. And then I was just hockey after that.
Okay. And then what would you say, how do you integrate with your athletes mental fitness into your off ice training, and then have it cross over to the ice?
Yeah. I think a big thing is what I really love to do before a workout session is just taking 10, 15 minutes, and we'll go through breath work. And what I'll do is, usually before breath work, we'll do a lot of lymphatic drainage just to get calm that nervous system, just to get them into the present moment, where once we're laying down, starting breath work, I'll bring them through all the different senses. So your hearing, your touch, your smell, getting them even closer to the present moment of the different sounds you can hear in the room, visually, what can you see and hear, and all those different things. And then setting the intention of, okay, we have the next hour and a half to dedicate to getting ourselves better for the sport we love. Like, how well are you going to show up for every single rep, every single set, every single part of this next hour and a half? And the best way to do it is tying in your breath with the movement. So making sure that they focus on their breath during the movement. When you focus on the breath, that's keeping you in the present moment, and you're not thinking about stuff in the past or future. It's all correlated with how well can you stay right here and not worry about how much Johnny's lifting versus how much you lift, Or if we're doing a long stretching session, how bad does your body hurt when we're holding this position, rather than let's breathe through it and let go of the whatever feeling that you feel if you can't do a certain stretch for something else like that.
Okay. And do you do that before every practice
We do that more so in the gym.
or every gym session?
Mostly if I'm coaching, I'll do some
Oh,
sort of intention setting breath work just to get our body ready and primed. From a on ice perspective, or even before games, I have pre-recorded like breathing stuff where that go through the same stuff to make sure that they stay locked in for the next whatever it is, hour, 2 hours.
okay.
And
What kind
different,
of feedback do you get from the players about that?
it's good, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's something that I look at in my own career. If I had something that calmed my mind even more during that time, and it got my focus to focusing on just that, it's something that I wish I had. So again, like that's why I got back into coaching, to share these tools.
Do you have any causes or nonprofits that you would like to tell us about that, that are close to your heart?
I mean, shine the light. This is something that Paul Martin
Yeah.
does. I think this is a really good organization. I think from where I'm working now, Best Shift Hockey and Training, it's a very different style of training, and it's very welcoming. I look at it like this. So since moving over here, I think as a kid, anybody can relate to this. Like if let's say you're playing a pickup game in the backyard or at school, and you got two captains that are picking a team. So all you want to do is feel welcome to play on either team and be picked. And I think the culture at Best Shift is everyone can come and play. Doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter whatever it is. Anybody's always welcome to come play there. And I think that's such a cool thing that I haven't really experienced, and it's very welcoming.
Okay. One last question that just popped into my head that goes all the way back to some of the first that I asked is, what would you tell a young player who feels like because of where they play, they're not getting noticed or getting the benefit of the doubt? How should they handle it?
Every time I hear that, I say, if you're good enough, you're going to get seen. Just keep playing, keep the fun in the game. I think that's the most important part. You have to keep the fun, because if you don't keep the fun, you're playing for a reason that shouldn't be there. So if you're good enough, you're going to get seen. Like there's no way you can't get seen, and just keep fun, have fun.
Okay. Great.
Just a game.
Anything else you want to share with our listeners?
No, I think I love what you're doing. Again, we've met a few times, and I love everything that you're doing and what you're trying to do for athletes. And I think it's super important to ask for help if you need help. And
Yeah.
again, it's shouldn't be shameful of it. It's everyone asks for help. Everyone's trying their best with the tools that they're given. And if you get more tools in your toolbox to help you on your journey of life and hockey or whatever it is, why not?
So you were born in a log cabin you built yourself?
Yeah, yeah, we were actually born in a tent. No.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate your time and doing this with me. You were a great guest, and I think there's a lot of insights that you brought to the table that a lot of people will benefit from. And I think the fact that, you played at such a high level really makes an impact too in what you've spoken about. So thanks for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it, Hans. Thank you.